For more on that, let's welcome an attorney and columnist at the BizPac Review, Erin Elmore. She also hosts a new podcast there. We're also joined by radio host and Project 21 National Advisory Board member Christopher Arps. Panel, great to have you on this morning. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
The Biden administration, they've tried to convince the American people for months now that it is the war in Ukraine that is the reason behind record high gas prices here in the U.S. Take a listen.
Putin's invasion of Ukraine has driven up gas prices and food prices all over the world.
We expect March CPI headline inflation to be extraordinarily elevated due to Putin's price hike.
Putin's price hike that Americans and our allies are feeling at the pump.
This is a global problem. There are two causes for it, which these high prices derive from. One is, of course, Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine.
Okay, and now the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, he was asked yesterday on Capitol Hill if the war in Ukraine is the reason behind 8.6% inflation. Listen.
Given how inflation has escalated over the past 18 months, would you say that the war in Ukraine is the primary driver of inflation in America?
No, inflation was high before, certainly before the war in Ukraine broke out.
I'm glad to hear you say that. The Biden administration seems to be intent on deflecting blame, and as recently as just this past Sunday, spread the misinformation that Putin's invasion of Ukraine is the, quote, biggest single driver of inflation. I'm glad you agree with me that that is not the truth.
He must have not gotten the memo that all the Democrats have been saying over the last few months, but he said the truth. The numbers are there, Rob.
I don't know if he keeps his job through this Sunday because that was a big no-no. Erin, how does the administration deal with that today? Gas prices, the national average on February 24th, that's the day the invasion began, $4.40 a gallon.
I mean, this is a big problem for this administration. I know they like to use alliteration with Putin's price hike, but when people are watching the television at home and going to the gas pump and see empty shelves at the grocery store and worry about the border crisis, I think they see the truth and they realize the truth and they know we are being lied to. And Jerome Powell saying this isn't the driver of inflation, he is a neutral person within this government, within this, sort of fictional story that Washington is sort of playing for us. And the problems are going to really be quite transparent and apparent in November when people go to the polls and vote. We're already starting to see the trends now. People want to see a change. We don't want this green energy farce when we don't have the infrastructure to back it up. We want our own domestic oil production to be available. Joe Biden talks about gas leases. By the way, the leases aren't the wells that drill. So his problems and his lies are compounding, and the American people are starting to realize, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Chris, he said it was transitory. He's blamed COVID. He's blamed Putin. And he's blaming now oil execs, right? So when he got into office, he basically was like, okay, stop producing, right? We don't want you to produce. Now he's saying, we want you to produce. So which is it?
Yeah, Americans remember that when President Trump was president, gas prices were $2 lower than they are now. Americans also remember that during the Trump presidency, we were a net exporter of oil. Right. They knew that with the fracking industry out west and in Pennsylvania, that was creating tremendous oil reserves for us. That's why they're not buying this. And that's why the president, as Erin said earlier, is going to pay the price for this in November.
Yeah, such a good point. And by the way, Jerome Powell yesterday, Erin, I thought this was interesting. He said, no, our goal is to get inflation back down to 2%. And I'm sitting there, and I don't think anybody caught that, but I'm saying, whoa. No, not 2%. It was 1.4% on Donald Trump's last day in office, Joe Biden's first day in office. Why not get it back down to where it was? I don't want 2% inflation. I want 1.4% inflation. And forget about where we are right now, 8.6% inflation. But so today, Joe Biden is inviting oil executives, Erin, to the White House. All right, they're going to be there for a meeting with Jennifer Granholm, who is our energy secretary, but doesn't have any experience working in the energy industry. He's not going to meet in person with these executives, so he's not going to walk down the hall to meet with them, but he's going to fly 10,000 miles to Saudi Arabia to meet with the Saudi Crown Prince to beg him to increase production. How does that make any sense?
It makes absolutely no sense. That nothing that this administration does makes any sense. By the way, inflation, as you were just talking about, is the highest it's been in 40 years. Yeah. That is a staggering number, and this administration can't do anything about it. And Jerome Powell, as I said, as a neutral body, is trying to find a way to change it. And that's why interest rates are rising. By the way, there's no other way to combat this inflation because our White House isn't doing it. They keep printing money at record rates, knowing that that's going to cause more inflation. And by the way, for people that are watching at home, that's what communist countries and socialist countries like Venezuela do. They print so much money, they devalue the currency, and they create massive inflation, which destroys the country. So if something doesn't change quickly, we are on a very negative trajectory. But back to your conversation about oil. So yes, our president is having all of these oil executives here at home who can actually make a difference. Maybe he could say to them, hey, let's reduce regulation. Let's stop some of this litigation and allow you to drill more oil here at home. But no, he won't say that. He won't open the Keystone pipeline. Instead, he's going to go to Saudi Arabia and blame countries that don't allow gay marriage and don't allow women to go to school or drive to beg them for more oil. So really, we are living in a world and in a country with absolutely no logic or rationale that's going to help our own people here at home.
Yeah, Chris, the president said it. He's going to do everything possible, right, to get gas prices down, to get inflation down. But he's not meeting with them. He sent them a letter, so okay. But how does this show as far as his messaging and as far as when he's saying he's doing everything possible, but he's not even going to meet with them today? What does that say?
Yeah, how do you think that letter went over, by the way? He's trying to put them out of business, and he sends them a letter asking for their help.
And I think this just shows really just how beholden he is. It's the far left, Greenies in his party, that he's too ashamed to even meet with the oil executives who could probably help us get out of this mess. I think when they go to the White House today, I think they're going to browbeat them. We've heard reports that they want to reinstall the windfall profits tax because the oil companies, as the administration says, are making these extraordinary profits. So I think behind doors, I think they're going to threaten them with this excess profits tax to try to get them to give up some of their profits.
No, it's a good point, Chris. And also, think about it like this. This is the most Biden of Biden things to do, Aaron. He's going to end this gas tax holiday, so it's going to last for 90 days, 3 months. You could suspend this permanently, by the way, if you wanted to, and figure out how to finance roads and bridges, in some other way, infrastructure, whatever, however they want to do it. This is going to end in late September, just before the midterms. So right before people go to cast their ballot in the midterms, gas prices are going to skyrocket again. How does that make any political sense? Suspend it for 6 months.
Well, I mean, of course, once again, you're back on the logic. Things that make sense don't happen in this administration. But there's been some clips circulating on social media recently, and President Biden said it. It pains me to call him that, by the way, President Biden. Joe Biden already predicted the next pandemic. So honestly, call me super right wing, call me a tinfoil hat crazy. Joe Biden has gone on television and said, we need more money because we need to prepare for the next pandemic. I would be shocked if these lockdowns and these reasons to stay home and fears start happening just before the midterm.
I call it the midterm variant, and it's coming.
Right.
Just wait, the midterm variant. It's out there. We're going to see it over the next 4 months. He's asking for trillions of dollars to address the next once-in-a-century pandemic.
Right.
And
creating
good points.
more inflation, like we said.
Yep. Panel will pick this back up top of the hour. Aaron Elmore, Chris Arps, look forward to that. Thank you.